Today on Sinder's Playground, I'm going to share with you the brief history of Brandon Lee and the Lee legacy. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome to another edition of Sinder's Playground. This week, as I mentioned in the open, talking about the life of Brandon Lee. Sir, actually, you know what? I'm going to save my questions to the end. So my question is, let's just hop into it, man. Let's just. All right, I'll ask one question. So, were you looking forward to this one, sir?
Yeah, I wanted to know more about Brandon Lee. I only kind of know him from The Crow.
Okay. Gotcha. Like most people.
Yeah.
Like most people. But I'll say this. I was a fan before that movie came out, and that movie just solidified it for me. But let's just get into it, though. All right, so Brandon Bruce Lee, that's his middle name.
Oh, wow.
That's his middle name. Was born on February 1st, 1965 in Oakland Hospital in California. From a young age, he was taught his father's ways of martial arts, the Jeet Kune Do style. His family lived in the U.S. and in Hong Kong, traveling, back and forth because of his dad. One of Lee's top students was quoted in saying, by the age of 8, Brandon could already break boards.
Damn, that's cool.
Break boards. After his father's death, though, Brandon and the rest of his family moved back to California, there where Brandon would train under Bruce's top students. Brandon would say in a later interview that it was intimidating going to his schools because he had more than one, but going to his schools and seeing a picture of my dad, a big-ass picture of my dad on the walls and everything. So, yeah, it was kind of intimidating. But after high school, Brandon would go to Scarsburg Theater and Film Institute to study acting. From there, he would go to Emerson College in Boston, where he majored in theater and would perform in several plays there. After graduation, he moved back home to LA. During this time, he was approached by a casting director, Lynn Steinmeister. I know I'm saying that wrong. And auditioned for the role of Kung Fu the movie, which was a TV movie. All right, I'll pause there for a second. So we've covered Bruce Lee on this show. What do you call it? If you haven't already, you should check that out. Bruce Lee episode. But as you know, the whole idea of Kung Fu was Bruce's idea. And the fact that they approached his son to do a TV movie about it. What do you think about that? I just wanted to.
I think that's pretty cool. I guess they were thinking about his son and then trying to see how his son felt about it and to commemorate his dad.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I know. I think it's a shitty move. Like I said, they stole that idea from him, right? And then, but didn't give him any credit or anything, what do you call it? And the fact that they were still willing to continue the series on, and have, to me, that's like, you have the audacity to ask your son after you guys stole my dad's idea.
I mean, do they really need to give him credit? Like, they already know, everyone pretty much knows.
I know now, but I'm just saying back then, So, after the TV movie aired, what you call it? So he did star in it. Well, I mean, he didn't star in it because David Carradine, who was the original guy in Kung Fu, what you call it? So Brandon in this TV movie, Brandon played his son. Think about that.
So that's more disrespectful than
yeah.
So that's the part that would get me mad. It's like,
like, really? I'm doing this, man. Anyway, okay. So after the movie aired, what do you call it? The network was hoping to get a new kung fu series out of it, starring Brandon. But of course, what you call it? Of course, it didn't get picked up because we don't know about. We never heard about a kung fu the next generation. So yes, so he, like I said, he did the pilot, but the network didn't pick it up for whatever reason. One of the quotes I read is saying that he didn't look Asian enough. So wait a minute. So in the original show, they said he looked too Asian. Now in the other series, he said he didn't look Asian enough. Hollywood, bro. Just, oh, God. All right. Fast forwarding, Brandon would get little bits and parts on TV shows and movies and stuff like that, but nothing major. Fast forward to 1990, Brandon got a lead role in Laser Mission. That was a film that was released and distributed by Turner Home Entertainment. What you call it? The film got a lot of buzz, though. People seem to enjoy it for what it was. So that's one of those like straight to DVD action flicks. You know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah.
That get no to release. So they got that. So this is my first tidbit for y'all and you. What you call it? So side note. Then Marvel CEO Margaret Lucen had a meeting with Brandon and Stan Lee. Stan felt Brandon would be ideal for the role of Shang-Chi in a TV movie. Obviously, that didn't happen. So what do you think about that real quick?
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, bro. I mean, yeah.
That could have been so cool.
He would have been a good Shang-Chi. But, I mean, obviously, if Brandon was alive and they did that, it would be a better quality of film. I would agree. Sort of back then. But I don't know. 90s films are pretty dope, too. But yeah, like I said, it didn't happen. For whatever reason. Just can't catch a break, bro. Then, in 1991, Brandon was offered the role in a biopic of his father, but he turned it down. What you call it? That was Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Do you remember that film?
No.
Okay, yeah, I saw that, man. Well, because I was a fan of Bruce. Anything with him on it. Even though I know it's not him, but still, I was interested to see how they portrayed him and how the actor did and stuff like that. It was alright. It was alright. What do you call it? I mean, if you're a fan of Bruce, I think you should give it a watch if you haven't seen it before. That's just my opinion, But like I said, if you're looking for real Bruce Lee stuff, like I said, watch one of his movies that he's in. What do you call it? He would find a job, though, the following year as he starred in Showdown in Little Tokyo opposite Dolph Lundgren. It had a limited release, and it grossed a little over $2 million. Critics panned it, but Brandon would not be out of work long because on August 22nd, 1992, Rapid Fire was released. And made $14 million in America alone. It was not a worldwide release. Brandon would say, I wanted to put on more muscle for this role and handled his own choreography for his fight scenes. The film, though, would hit number 3 in the box office, making over $4 million. After 19 weeks in theaters, it made $15 million overall. Think about that for a second. 19 weeks, that's unheard of, especially nowadays. To have your film in the theater for that long. So yeah. But most critics disliked this film too, but all seem to agree that Brandon had some kind of charismatic quality about him. So while he was doing promotion for Rapid Fire, was asked if he had any other. Oh, he was approached and asked if he had any interest in doing a comic book adaptation of James O'Barr's The Crow. Pause. um. So okay, so his first film didn't do too good. Then his second film did all right. What you call it? And it's funny too. I think both those films had a bit bigger following when they hit the home like market, like DVDs, stuff like that. You know what you call it? So like I said, he was. I would say slowly gaining an underground following, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know. Again, Lee was in charge of his own choreography during this film, and going on, and for this role, he went on set not doing traditional martial arts moves. After he read the script and read some of the comics and everything, what you call it? So Brendan said also after the fact, well, not after the fact because he died before it came out, but before the film came out, he was quoted as saying, "Well, I look at it like this: this guy has no martial arts skill, and what you call it, and all of a sudden he's given these supernatural powers. Of course, all his fights aren't going to look pretty, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, I guess I never think about it, man. I just think, it's Bruce Lee's son, so he's just going to do martial arts.
Yeah.
But the fact that he thought about it that way is just like, okay, this guy's just a rock star, like I said, he doesn't know how to fight or anything there. So he purposely didn't make his fights look like slick and nice and everything like that. So if you watch that film, like I said, it's kind of just like, well, he's fighting dirty, kind of, and like not very, what's the word I'm looking
fluid.
For? Yeah, not very fluid, So he did it on purpose, which I thought was excellent, adds a little realism to it, and everything like that. So film and wrapped. And then in 1994, The Crow was opened across the world and debuted at #1 in the U.S., hitting 1,535 theaters, grossing over $50 million against its $23 million budget. Obviously, it's his breakout film and has become a cult classic. Even young people who weren't even old enough to see it in theaters are fans of it. For what it's worth, though, it has an 85% on Rotten Tomatoes and a score of 75 on Metacritic. Now, next section, I'm going into the depth. So on March 31st on the set, Brandon was filming a scene where he was to be shot by a bunch of thugs. In this scene, the actor Michael Massey fires a prop Smith & Wesson 629 Magnum as Eric, well, that's his character, comes out, or as Eric comes home to find thugs raping his girlfriend. On a film set, prior to a prop gun being used, they are usually checked and filled with blank rounds or dummy rounds. So, in this scene where it called for the revolver to be used, dummies were replaced with blanks, giving that visual effect of the flash and the gun sound. You know what I mean? But in a prior scene where the same gun was used, the dummy rounds where the same gun was used, they used dummy rounds instead of the blanks. But transitioning to one scene from another, the gun was not checked properly. So there was still a dummy round lodged in the barrel. And when Brandon's scene was up, the blanks pushed the dummy round right out, hitting him in the sternum. So after Massey pulled the trigger, Brandon fell backwards, even though the scene called for him to fall forwards. So when the director called cut, Brandon was unresponsive. The crew thought Brennan was messing around until the stunt coordinator went to check on him and saw he was breathing heavy. And at first they didn't know he was shot because there was no blood. The stunt coordinator took his pulse and it was fine, but then began decreasing and eventually stopped. That's when the ambulance was called, and then he was rushed to the New Hanover Medical Center in North Carolina. He was pronounced dead on March 31st, 1993 at 1:03 p.m. He was 28. The shooting was ruled an accident by negligence. He's buried next to his father at Lakeview Cemetery in Seattle, Washington, and had a private funeral with some of the attendees being Steven Seagal, Kiefer Sutherland, David Hasselhoff, Lou Diamond Phillips, Charlie Sheen, just to name a few. And that is how we lost Brandon Lee. I know I've heard a whole bunch of stories over the years, like how this happened and everything like that. You know, seen probably every special that's ever been done on it. I've seen probably because this is my favorite film. For those of you who don't know, it's my favorite movie ever. Okay, but before I get into my thesis and everything like that, what do you think about? Well, first, tell me what do you think about The Crow, and then what do you think about the accident? The accident.
I like the Crow movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but I did like it. I think it was one of the first superhero movies I did see.
I mean, oh yeah, that's another question. Did you know it was based on a comic?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? I have that book. I've been in trade. I've only read it once, but I should go back and read it again. Yeah. All right. So, what do you think about the accident, though?
I think it's crazy. Like, that stuff should have definitely been checked.
Especially like when you're using like not live rounds, but dummy rounds, whatever, everything, and you're using the gun, especially multiple times during the day. You should check, double check, triple check.
Yeah.
You know, your weaponry, man. You know, so.
Especially if you know you're gonna point it at somebody. Like,
yes.
I mean, there has been a recent thing that just happened, I guess.
With who?
Charlie Sheen.
Was it Charlie?
No, not Charlie Sheen. Whoops, Alec Baldwin.
Oh yeah, that thing I know. Oh yeah, I heard about that thing. Yeah.
So it still happens to this day, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. Well, again, negligence. You know.
Yeah.
All right, so you know I love the film, obviously. What you call it? I love Brandon. And I just find it so. I guess the word is ironic that both him and his father died before their big movie, hit theaters.
Yeah, like they didn't get to get their roses before
man.
they were.
I'm just like, man, that is like so messed up, man. And that's the first thing I thought when I first heard the news that, he died on the set or whatever. I was like, damn, man. I'm like, because I already knew. I'm like, this is going to be your movie, man. This is going to be it, man. Because I already knew this was going to be big. Well, this was going to break him out. And I was like, already thinking about stuff he can do. I was like, oh man, I can see him doing like superhero stuff. I can see him doing spy stuff, action stuff, man. What you call it? Doing buddy cop stuff, man. All kinds of shit, man. And I asked this question about Bruce, but I asked it about Brandon too. What you call it? So, do you think if he did stay alive, that maybe the way action films are done would be a little bit different now? Because you got to think about it. All his movies, he did his own choreography and stuff like that. Because I would think that would have rubbed off on some people.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of actors now that do their own stunts and stuff like that. Like, I think like Tom Cruise does his own stunts.
Well, I mean that's stunts. I'm talking about like fight choreography and stuff like that, man.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it would have been bigger. People would have stayed. That would have been a relevant thing to keep going to, because I guess like after a while, like it got kind of like stale.
Well,
like you had Jean-Claude Van Damme, and stuff like that. Like, who else could potentially like learn all those moves and be great or amazing at it? Yeah, as much as those two were.
Yeah, and plus he was using his dad's technique and stuff like that. So So I'm like, man,
he could have even made it like better, or like.
I'll put his own spin on it and stuff like that, man. Like I said, and like evolve it, And also I think too, well, I don't know if you agree with me or disagree with me, but I think there's a lull in like martial arts films. I think for like the last decade, if you will.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's nobody really.
There's no like guy
taking the mantle. Yeah,
you know what you call it. I mean, you might say IP Man. Do you know that series?
Yeah.
Like I said, he's dope. I mean, I like him. I like his stuff, like I said. But like he's not like mainstream. You know, like Brandon could cross over because he has like that.
The background for it and the will and the drive and the teaching behind it too.
Yeah, and also he what you call it? He has the best of both worlds. Like he has that Asian descent and his mother's like white. So you know what you call it? He's perfect. He's a perfect crossover porn. That's what I was trying to say. You know, so we can get the Asian people on board and you know also the Americans too.
Yeah.
So, like I said, so like I said, yeah, I think action movies would be way different if he lived, bro. Seriously, bro. Like I said, and I think we would see more like martial arts / action films than we do now. I mean, shit. I mean, the last great action films has been like the John Wick films, in my opinion. You know, as far as mainstream action films go, like I said, and he uses guns, so some people that like fighting. Yeah. You know, I mean, think about what's the last great fighting movie you saw where the fights were just like, oh, it was so dope.
Well, you just mentioned the John Wick, but I mean, other than that, then I haven't. It's been a while.
I mean, we're losing your fists, man. Just like the kick-ass, you know, movie.
I haven't seen one in a minute.
Might I recommend though? There's one. It's called The Raid. It's you ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
It's dope, man. Like, oh man, it's like a video game come to life. It's really dope. I have Raid and The Raid 2 because they made two of them. Yeah. Just I'll be real quick. It's this guy. He's I think he's a cop. Like it's been a while since I've seen it. It's been like 2 years. But like, it's the guy's a cop, right? And then he has to go into this big ass tenement building. I think to get something or rescue somebody or some shit. So basically, he's going through each floor, just kicking ass to get an ass, man. And it was just like, oh man, it's so dope, bro. And like each level is like he fights a bunch of thugs, and then of course it's like a boss and shit. It's like a big guy. And it's like, oh man, this is so dope, bro. Yeah, I recommend that. Like I said, it's probably the last great like fighting film that I've seen in a long time. Like within the last 20 years, probably. Not even exaggerating. Not even exaggerating. But yeah. Okay, so now let me get my thoughts on my theory on the accident. That's it. So I mean, I just find it incredibly hard to believe that not only did both of them die before the breakout movies, but both of them died under mysterious circumstances. You know, because what film production company studio, what'd you call it? Doesn't have a protocol where you check your props, like I said, double, triple, maybe even 4 times, you know, stuff like that, man. And like I said, I didn't see who distributed this, like the Crow, because I know it's not like a shitty company. You know? One second, people. It is released by. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, excuse me, sir. Where's it go? Wait, so you didn't know he had other movies? You thought that was just his only film?
Yeah.
Oh. No, I followed him day one from his first film. Because I knew who he was. I knew who he was. I was like, oh, man. You know, just like, oh, bro. Just like, yes. Miramax. Okay, so Miramax is a legitimate, you know, film company. Not some, you know, hole-in-the-wall film company. You know, they should know better. Don't know. Seriously. So the fact that happened under a legitimate film studio makes me ask questions. You know. And so yeah, like I said, so I will be under the belief that, like I said, that was no accident for both of them. That's just my personal opinion. Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying, man. What I'm saying. So you have anything to add? Ask.
Nah. Well, I kind of want to watch The Crow again.
Of course. No, you should watch the other two films first, especially Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is really dope. I like that, man. I think I went to movies to see that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Oh, so yeah, Rapid Fire was dope. Even Showdown in Tokyo was dope too, bro. Because you know who Dolph Lundgren is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like the fact him and Brandon in the same film, bro. Oh, man. It's dope, bro. Man. Like I said, and then he's in like that movie. He was like a real wise ass to him, so that's why I really like it. I was like, oh man, so. I was like, oh, so good because it's like that buddy cop dynamic, you know, where one guy just gives the other guy a hard time throughout the film. So I like that, you know. And Rapid Fire was just dope, bro. Like I said, it was dope. Just fun, solid action film. Like I said, and the story's not even too complicated, man. You can follow it; it's easy, and he just does dope shit in it, man. And of course, the Crow is just like legendary. It's like iconic status right now. But you can see my Crow statue that I bought at Comic-Con last year, basking in the background. You know, like I said, I definitely need some more Crow stuff. You know, need some more Crow stuff. Need some more Hellraiser stuff, and some more Texas stuff. You know, well, I might be able to get all that stuff at Comic-Con this year. We'll see. But I'm gonna end it there. So. Thank you for checking out my brief history of the life of Brandon Lee. If you enjoyed this or any of our other podcasts, please help us out by giving us that 5-star rating, following us on whatever platform you're listening to this on. And if you want, you can get in contact with me, Sinder666 at Instagram. I post, you know, about this very podcast. I post about my YouTube channel and post about just cool shit I find on the internet. You know, throw it over to this guy.
And I'm Jose. You can follow me on Instagram at JoseCE90. And yeah, slide in the DMs. Let us know what you think about the episode. Any episodes you want us to feature. Or any feedback on the shows. We appreciate it.
Okay, then. What you call? Thank you again for listening to me ramble about one of my favorite films, which I don't get to talk enough about, I feel, you know, because I still feel, even though it's cult like status at this point, you know.
Yeah,
it's cult like status at this point, you know. So, but yeah, I love talking about it though. Every chance I get to talk to you, and I love talking about Brandon and just, you know, because he is in my favorite movie. You know. So definitely, and so keep his memory alive, you know, because you know they're still making like Crow products to this day.
Yeah. That's how you know it's a cult product.
Yeah, you know, like I said, man.
That movie came out so long ago. They're still doing things.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, so you haven't already, check it out. The Crow. I think you can watch it on HBO Max, I think. So you can watch it on there. And also Rapid Fire, Showdown in Little Tokyo. His 2 other films. So, like I said, if you want to see him in a different light, you know, besides The Crow, check out those 2 films together. So, I am Sinder, and we will talk to you guys later.
Peace out.